Guys, how we doing? We're here to talk about Rough N Rowdy. Or Rough N Rowdy, actually.
It's a good time to talk about it.
Yes, well, it's a very fluid situation, and you can hear that word a lot with this team because AB and his son Jeffrey were drafting, and they were at odds all day. Jeffrey was going in one direction, while Abe J. Cohen was going in another direction. And the draft, they had some good moments, but they also had some very questionable moments.
They did.
First of all, they drafted 2 third basemen. They drafted Nate Batesh. Many feel he was taken a little earlier than when they should have taken him. That ended up setting up a theme because once he was gone, the third baseman started going. David D.C. Cohen went after him. Charles Sacco went after him. And then a couple of rounds later, they said, oh, Salim Levy's available. They drafted another third baseman.
And they're not the only team to do that. As you've seen on the reports earlier, they're one of 2 teams that drafted 2 third basemen, and then we had 2 teams that ended the draft without a true third baseman.
Yes.
Saul's team being one of them, not a standard third baseman that's been there for years and years.
Exactly. Okay, so basically this team made a couple of deals. They made a 3-way deal involving the swimming organization and the ones who knock. And
big trade the other night.
It was a very, very big trade. It was a blockbuster trade. Like Jackie Zolta said, it flipped everything over as is customary on Purim.
Yes.
So they went from John Eleazar to Gabe Abadi at shortstop. Many feel that that's a step up defensively, but people are unsure about on the offensive side. John had a great year last year, and Gabe hasn't played in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the fact that I know a lot of the captains were a little bearish on Gabe's offensive output because they said the glove you get with a little you rub some rust off of it, and you get the glove, but the bat takes some time to come along. You may not see the bat come along the first, second, third, fourth weeks unless he's hitting the cages aggressively, hitting practices aggressively. So I think that's where the notion that Gabe's bat won't be as explosive as John's is. But again, you see ABJF taking that risk, saying, if it could, then I destroyed this trade.
You saw 2 things that happened here in this trade. One for Rough N Rowdy and the other for the ones who knock, who ended up getting John Eleazar. The Rough N Rowdy, they went from, talk about the 2 different personalities on the shortstops. Gabe is a guy that comes in and really doesn't say much. He's a guy that he plays the game, he plays hard, managed them years back, great guy to have on your team, but he's a blue-collar kind of guy, go about your business, lunch pail to the clubhouse, and, that's it. John, and I'm not saying this negatively, he's there. When he's all about the chatter, he's always talking, always yapping, and so I don't know if that played a role in what they wanted. If Abe wanted the more reserved Gabe, I think talent-wise, they're both really talented shortstops. John's coming off a World Series season, and now he's back with his captain, who we made a big deal about him not picking him on draft night, and now he's with him.
Well, a lot of rumors, a lot of hearsay, who knows what's true. But apparently, the feelings were mutual that duo of the ones who knocked did not want to get back together from both ends, and now they're back together.
Well, I have to say it is rumors because there's no reason for them to get back together at this point if they didn't want to get back together.
Well, that's another thing because apparently this is not such a well-kept secret. Gabe did not want to be in that organization, and everyone signs up and they check the box that they're going to play for whatever team they're drafted for. And when players have to be with their friends and have to be with the team that they like, it does affect the rest of the league. It ruins the competition of the league when everyone's going to determine where they're going to play. Now, Gabe did not do that. He didn't say, I'm not playing for you, so I don't want to misquote him at all. But apparently it was conveyed to Mo Cass that perhaps Gabe would be happier elsewhere. Mo Cass internalized that and said, I don't want someone on my team that doesn't want to be here. So he traded him basically for John, but he drafted Gabe first. So how much did Mocas really want to do that? I'm not sure.
I mean, listen, I guess there's a lot of moving parts. Maybe Mocas also watched all the reports. Maybe he heard all the chatter. How could you not take John after winning with him? I don't know. Maybe a little buyer's remorse.
Right.
But you're telling me, was it Jackie who scooped that about Gabe not being so happy?
That was Jackie's also
So
with Gary Nachman Eisenberg.
If Jackie told you that, I mean, we know his reputation's impeccable.
Usually pretty good.
There's probably a little of both. I happen to think this is a better fit for this team. I think, I happen to think Gabe fits into this whole squad a little better than John would have. And John is used to Mocas and some of the guys there. They played together last year.
Well, let's review the squad as a whole. And I guess we'll start in the infield because we're talking about the infield. They had 2 third basemen, Saul. They had Salim and Nate Patesh. Originally, they were keeping Salim at third because he's not as mobile as Nate Patesh. And Nate Patesh was going to be at short center. Through a couple of moves, through a couple of trades, they shipped Nate Patesh to the swimming pool. He's going to be swimming for the rest of the year. Nate Patesh is thrilled about that. Swimming is thrilled about that.
Yeah.
And what they got back in return via Avi was Albert Sitt. I believe Albert Sitt is actually going to play second base, and Zeke DeWeck will move to short center.
I mean, talk about a guy, Albert Sitt, Norman. 3 teams. There's only 8. He's been on 3 teams in 7 days. This is unprecedented.
Well, Avi DeWeck was on 3 teams in 2 minutes.
2 minutes, but that's within a 3-way trade.
Right.
This was you're here, and now you go to sleep and you're here, and you go to sleep and you're somewhere else. As crazy as that sounds, Norman,
Yes.
it shows what Albert Sitt can bring to a team. And now, yes, he does arrive on the back end of Gabe Abadi, right?
Yes.
Gabe is the star shortstop. However, Albert Sitt is a very versatile player. He can play right field, he can play second, he can play short center, and I'll tell you, in recent years, he's been very solid with the bat. He used to be very pull, and now he has an oppo shot.
Yes.
So I think it gets shadowed when you talk about, bringing Gabe in, losing John, losing Nate Patesh. I think in that terms, in that fit, because you look at the outfield, you see Sonny, Avy, Jeff, and Irwin. So that's standard.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going anywhere. When you see Albert Sitt plugging up second base or plugging up short center, I say they upgraded.
I think
The question really is this. You're looking at an infield. Salim is solid at third. Gabe is solid at short. Albert Sitt or Zeke DeWeck, they're really outfielders. You have 2 outfielders playing the infield here, if you ask me. Unless, I don't know Albert Sitt like you do.
So,
is he an infield? I've only seen him play right.
He's a right fielder by trade. He has played some second base in the YMSL, specifically for Max Sutton. Zeke DeWeck, I don't know much about. I'll tell you. I had an interview with him that I missed the train to, and for that reason, I don't know much about Zeke DeWeck.
I don't think it's a big deal, and I'll tell you, we've seen it a lot in the YMSL this year. You see a lot of. It became more about who's the best guy available at that spot.
Specifically this year.
Yeah, this year. More so than, I don't have a third baseman or I don't have a left fielder yet. Let me see what I can do. I think they took athletes here. And, I don't think the transition to short center or second base for these guys is going to be a big deal. They're athletes. They're young. They can do it. I really, looking at this team defensively, this is a very, very strong defensive team.
Well, outfield, you have a center fielder playing left in Irwin, overqualified. You have arguably the best, fielding center fielder over here. And then you have Sonny. Sonny used to be a center fielder his whole career. Then he played left, and now he's playing right. So you have no problem in the outfield at all. Especially Abe J in center doesn't just guard here. He guards all the way. He covers so much ground. No one here would ever be concerned about this outfield. This is as strong as it gets and as smart as it gets. No question. I'm concerned about this side of the infield. I want to get to Saban in a second, and I want to get to the pitching staff in a second.
But I think we should do the pitchers at the end.
Okay.
Again, I mean, listen, I hear you. You're taking 2 guys, but I don't think it's a big deal. I'm not as concerned with you on those 2 guys playing the infield. And then, like you said, you have flexibility. Guy misses a week, you have a built-in outfielder going into the outfield. You got the Birdman, who will, plug in somewhere too if they need him to.
Well, the Birdman, they did trade Joko for Birdman. They wanted that as part of the deal. So it must be that they feel the Birdman is a better fielder than Joko, and they're going to plug him in here or there.
Could be.
They must be thinking something along those lines.
And then you touched on Saban, and I got to tell you, I love his presence on this team.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because a lot of the pieces here are similar to what you've been seeing over the years with the ABJ, Sonny Shalom, even A.B. Cohen pitching for them, that type of a school. It's a little more serious, a little more, a little more choir-esque.
Button down,
yeah. Again,
Sandy,
blue collar, and I love the Saban presence because he loosens it up a little bit.
Sure.
I think all that talk about Saban and he's rough on the guys. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. I think he's great for a team, especially a team like this. He can still hit well. He's a great hitter. He's great at first base, and I think he's going to loosen the team up a little. I like it a lot.
Saban is an unbelievable hitter. Saban is much smarter than people give him credit for. He knows the league. He knows the game. He's very, very intelligent when it comes to who's going to fit where, this and that. They made a lot of moves. I wonder if Saban is included in the think tank or not. ABJ is talking to his brother. He's talking to Sonny. Are the outfielders controlling the moves on this team? Because Saban knows a lot, and maybe he thinks John is a better fit than Gabe. Maybe he wanted Nate Patesh and he wanted better infielders than Albertson. I don't know. And I could see that being a factor in Saban because he
coming
wants
back to bite them. You're saying after I told you not to trade this guy.
It could be, and like you said, he's one of the greatest hitters we've ever seen in this era. And the kids that are up now don't even know how good this guy was. I mean, you're going back to the late '90s, early 2000s. This guy, you could not get him out. I love the bat. Let's quickly do the lineup because you have so much speed up top. You have Irwin, you have ABJ Cohen, you have then you have Gabe, and then you have Saban to bring them all home. I mean, if that's the top three, Saban should lead the league in RBIs.
I think they built a really, really nice team here. It's really good defensively, and they're going to score runs also. There's a lot of hard outs on this team. Salim is a great hitter, clutch hitter. Albert Sitkin hit. I mean, this is a good team. It's a really good team.
Yeah.
And, I guess we got to move it along. So we'll get to the pitching. There was this thought that I don't want to deal with this two-headed monster on the mound.
Yes. What do you think of it?
From day one, I loved the prospect of getting a guy like A.B. Cohen and pairing him with Ancona because I think this plays right into A.B. Cohen's strength. Because if you can say anything about him, he's been unbelievable the last few years. If you can say anything about him, he tires.
Yeah.
He tires after game one. You'll have much less of a workload during the year. Ancona's a great pitcher.
Yeah.
So you're not going to lose anything there. You're going to have A.B. and Ancona pitching. And you pick your spots there. A.B. can show up a little late. Maybe come
I was surprised
that
the captains let this pairing go so deep in the draft. I think it bailed out this team because they had some bumps along the way in their draft. And then they were able to fix a couple of mistakes early on by getting a pitcher so late in the draft.
And also rebound from totally having to change what they were doing. This team had Mark Braha and Lee Zakaria earmarked for their team. They didn't get either of those guys.
Right.
And I agree with you. They got these guys so late that they were able to still build a very solid field around them. And I think they're going to be great on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy, maybe Cohen, who led the league in ERA.
Yeah.
Last year. He was the best ERA pitcher in the league. Like you said, he does tire. So if you tell him from minute one, give it your all, because today you may only go 6-7 innings, right? You may see something. You may see an unprecedented ERA from him, and then you bring in Ancona, you bring in the reliever. You can have them switching off first base,
do a lot of things.
First base pitcher, batter by batter, if that's what you please. And I think this is going to be a serious team to contend with, especially with the way that their pitching setup is.
I totally agree.
So Okay, so you like the moves they made. You think they're a contender. They definitely have some questions. I'm not sure about the right side of their infield. Their lineup, bottom of the order lineup, could be a little shaky, but their top of the lineup and their key positions are set. If they keep Gabe at short, they have a sick outfield. Salim at third, I like. Saban's bat, I love. And the pitching, I think they bailed out, like I said, not to repeat it, but I think they bailed out by getting these two pitchers so late. And Kona, I know it's a step up in competition, major step up in competition, but we watched this guy in high school, so
Yes,
we called the game.
the World Series.
Man pitched
shutout,
a
right?
shutout into extra innings, and Hillel won the game 1-0. I believe Marty Anthony was on that team and got
Anthony had the
that.
game winning
Yes.
hit.
Yeah, so you're talking about a guy that's
David Cohen had the winning run.
yeah. So you're talking about a guy that's a clutch pitcher. He's going to have to step up in competition.
Absolutely.
We'll see if he can do
And
it.
I think it's a great segue for him.
It-
Come in, a little less pressure. You're not the main guy. I love this for this team. Listen,
Right, you don't have to
never know
bank
what's
on
going to happen,
rookies.
but I think it's great.
A lot of questions, a lot of intriguing things. I am so interested in watching this team this year. Rough and Rowdy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And we will be back. Thank you.
Available Espanol pushing the SAP button on your television. Gabe, you had a monster day, capping it off with a long, was it a 3-run homer or 2-run homer? 3-run homer. 3-run homer over the left, way over the left fielder's head, and you jogged around the bases and came in standing up. How'd it feel to really beat the crap out of a ball like that?
It felt good, especially because this is my team. Me and Mo drafted together. It felt good to come back and help them out. Victory.
Very interesting that you actually were drafted on this team. You then took a brief hiatus. John Eliezer filled in for you. He couldn't make it today, so you in essence filling in for yourself, really.
Exactly. I mean, I think I got lucky with the opportunity and we made it happen.